Good morning, Year 6, and today we're going to be doing lesson 9.11. We are moving away from two-dimensional measurement and we're going to move on to three-dimensional measurement. We're not going to just measure the width or length, we're also going to be measuring height or depth. So let's have a look at the title of our lesson. It says, Developing a Formula to Calculate Volume of Prisms. Okay, first of all, prisms are these shapes, 3D objects that have got the definition of a prism. They need to have, I suppose, both ends or bases. They need to be exactly the same. They can't be like a pyramid or a cone. So this is a rectangular prism. And volume is basically how much space inside of this object. That's what the volume is, and we're going to develop a formula to calculate volume of prisms today. Develop a formula and you will see how easy it is going to be. So it says that we will need the base 10 blocks to build rectangular base prism. We will not be doing that, but we will be describing the dimensions of prisms and work out the total number of blocks used to build the prisms. And we're going to be introduced to the cubic centimeters, and you will know why it's called cubic and why it's got a little 3 at the top. Okay, so we will be focusing on that, and we will also I'll be also insisting on whenever you are going to be describing a volume of prism, you will need to finish with the number and centimeter and little 3 at the top. Okay, so let's have a look what we're going to be doing today. So first of all, let's have a look at a prism. And I'm going to ask you some questions and you're going to think and we're going to discuss it and we're going to answer those questions. So for example, what are the dimensions of this prism? So if you were to look at this prism and I would ask you, what are the dimensions of this prism? We already know about length and width. So you might say, well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubic little cubes long, and it's 2 little cubes wide, and it's got 3 layers of that base. Or you can say it's 3 cubits high and 2 wide and 5 long. So you are just now describing the dimensions of this prism. So the next question would be, how would you, or what steps would you use to work out the total number of the blocks? And I need to add the question without counting each one. Well, you already know that it's got 2 layers. So maybe you can count each block in each layer. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And you know you've got 2 layers of that. So you can say, well, 15, let's write it down. You can say 15. And because we've just calculated all of that, you can say 15 times 2, which will be 30 cubic centimeters or little cubes. Or you can say another way of finding it, I can say, look, if I were to look at the base 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the base, the whole base, or you can do it at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the first layer, so there's 10 of those. And there's 3 layers that way, so I can multiply 10 by 3, I'll end up with 30, okay? So 2 different ways, but you're coming to the same answer. I'm going to show you another way how we can find the volume or the total number of the blocks using a little bit of a formula that's going to help us in this lesson. So let's have a look to the next page. Right. First of all, we need to remember that each little square represents a little cube, and each little cube has got edges, it's got depth, it's not just a flat shape that's lying on the piece of just like a piece of paper. So each little cube is 1 centimeter long and tall and wide. You can see this, wide and long and tall. Okay, so therefore each block has a dimension, and it's 1 by 1 by 1 centimeter. And we can we can either write it 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, or we can call it a cubic centimeter, or in maths language we call it cubic centimeter. We'll write it like this, centimeter with a little 3, and the little 3 simply means it's got 3 dimensions. It's got width, height, and depth. Okay, so I'll just highlight it for you here. So it's got that width right there and height, and you can see the depth of it as well. That's where the little number 3 comes from. Okay, so to help us to work out the total volume of this prism without counting each cube, we can simply record, well, first of all, how tall is this? We can say, well, 3 centimeters, because remember, their by height is 1 centimeter. How long is that? We can write 1, 2, 3. So we can write 5. And then, of course, because there is third dimension to it, how deep is that? Well, we've got 2 centimeters deep. So, and then we multiply all 3 dimensions. We multiply all 3 dimensions, and we're going to end up with 3 times 5, 15 plus times 2. We're going to end up with 30 cubic centimeters, or in maths we simply write 30, and then we add cm little 3. Now this is important. Please, whenever you deal with prisms and writing their volumes down, you make sure you end up with little cm 3, or in other words, it just means cubic centimeter. Okay, so let's have a look at our lesson today. So, developing a formula to calculate volume of prisms, how could you work out the volume of this prism without counting each individual cube? Well, and there's Hannah and Riley, and they're working it out 2 ways. So Riley multiplied the height, which is of the prism, by the number of cubes in the base. Okay, so basically he counted that base, or the top layer, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the base has got 8 cubes, and it's got 4 layers of that. So he multiplied that, and he ended up with a volume of being 32 cubes. Okay, now because they're just writing it in cubes, he wrote as 32 cubes, but we'll be writing it as cm little 3. Hannah multiplied the dimensions just like we did a minute earlier. She counted the length, which was 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the length. She counted the width, which is 2, and the height was also 4. And when she multiplied those 3 dimensions, she ended up with 32 cubes. So both answers are correct, but they just arrived in a slightly different way of getting there. So how are their methods similar? Well, they both used multiplication to arrive to answer. And what rule could you write to match each method? Well, you probably could count how many in a base multiplied by number of layers, or you can write a rule, length times width times height. Volume is usually measured in cubic units. The abbreviation for cubic centimeter is centimeter little 3, which we have already discussed. Right. Very important question right here. Does it matter in what order she multiplies dimensions? Well, good news is it doesn't matter, because like in addition, the same as in multiplication, the order does not matter. So which is great for us. We just need to remember that for division it does matter, and for subtraction it matters, but order of multiplication numbers in multiplication does not matter. You will always end up with the same answer, which is great. Step up. Imagine you build this prism with base 10 1 blocks. Complete this table to match. So length, so let's do this one again. So length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5. Oh, sorry, I don't have a pen. So our length is 5 blocks. Our width is very easy, is 2 blocks. And our height is 3 blocks. And remember, we need to multiply all of them. We do not add, we multiply, because remember, we are just adding finding the total number of blocks. We're not just adding one side, another side, and another side. We are multiplying them. So 5 times 2 is 10, times 3 is 30. So total number of blocks is 30. And if we were to write the volume of the prism, we'd write 30. And we'll write centimetre to the power of 3, or little 3 at the top. And here are dimensions of another prism. Length 8 centimetres, width 3 centimetres, height 5 centimetres. Write how you can calculate the volume without counting blocks. So let's remember the formula. We've got length, capital L, times width, capital W, and times height, capital H. So if you just remember that, your lesson will be nice and easy and you'll be successful. So just remember, whenever we find volume of prisms, we need to multiply all the dimensions, and there's 3 of them: length, width, and height. So as long as they're visible, we'll be able to find the volume nice and easy. So I would encourage you to find that by yourself using that formula. Great. Number 3, use the rule from question 2 to calculate the volume of these prisms. So again, you go back to that formula and you calculate. So I'll do this one with you. 5 times 4 is 20, times 3 is 60 centimeters, cubic centimeters. All right. Now, number 4. So you will be able to do that by yourself. These prisms were made with centimeter cubes. Calculate the volume of each prism, then write a number sentence to show the order in which you multiply the dimensions. Remember, the order will not matter because the answer will be the same, but let's do it. So I will do the length first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So length is 5. I'll write it underneath. And then I will do the depth, or how wide it is. Yep, so 1, 2, 3. So times by W, which is times 3. And then the last one I will do times height. And remember, you can do it in any order you like. You might want to start with height and then you might start with height multiplied by length and depth at the end. It's up to you, or width at the end. And the height is also 3. So 5 times 3 is 15, times 3 is going to be 45. And just to show you that the order doesn't matter, I will do it a different way. So if I were to multiply 3 and then another 3, which will be 9, and then times 4 would still end up with 45. So I think you'll be able to do these two by yourself really successfully. Nice and easy lesson today. And then step ahead is the square base pyramid has been built with base 10 ones blocks. Calculate the volume of the pyramid. Well, you just basically have to calculate the volume of each layer first, and then you have to add all the volumes together. So for example, I'll start for you. So the first layer is 1. Yes, 1 cube. The second layer is going to be 2 by 2 by 1, which is going to be 4. We're going to add 4. The next layer is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 by 4 by 1, which is going to be 16. Right, so we have to add that one. So, and now from now on, I want you to keep going. So the next level you need to, so this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3. How many cubes are in this level? And then this, and this, and then you need to find the number for this, and for that, and add 3 more numbers, and then the total should be up here. So this is your little working space if you want to use it. Good luck today. I think you will enjoy this lesson because it's nice and easy, and the formula is there to help, and I'll see you next time.